and I'm going to sound off the stars of today's show, and I'm going to tell you what the premise of today's show is. The premise of today's show is wholeheartedly to help everybody, including Barry Jordan, what's going on, in my opinion, but also I'm going to read some legal jargon involving cybercrimes in the Philippines and cybercrimes law. But I'm going to provide you with the links to such so that you can read it for yourself. Now, part of the cybercrimes law, if you go to my community page, you're going to find the basics of the cybercrimes law on my community page. And let's go over there so that you can... Frank's Lonely Horse. The bus... I can't read that. Hold on a second, because I have so many lines on this screen. I will have to go to my chat window. Frank's Lonely Horse. Just hang on a moment, please. Okay, so in today's show... Hello. So, we're going to... Oh, I didn't turn it around. I said I would turn it around, and now I'm turning it around, but it's not turning around. Oh boy, that's wonderful. Okay. It won't turn around. Right, if this phone, the Samsung phone, what a piece of garbage this thing turned out to be. Okay. Nope, it won't turn around. Wow, that's interesting. Yep, wait a second. There it goes. Okay, so don't ever buy a Samsung phone. Take my word for it. It's a piece of junk from the day you get it to the day you get rid of it. So, the live stream, let's just read this, and I'm going to read the Cybercrimes Act. Okay? So, in today's show, this show is dedicated to help Barry Jordan understand that he needs to, what I call, big egotize his legal legs, whatever you want to call them. His legal grounds need to be big egotized, okay? Barry, you need a lawyer. And I have that all in my notes. You don't have a lawyer. You said you had a lawyer. You said a lawyer was paid for, but that lawyer that you paid for, which is in my notes, was 2 years ago, and it was to file a case, not an immigration lawyer. So your story about having an immigration lawyer is sketchy, in my opinion. So let's go through the notes that I published on my community page. The title states, Popeye 1, Barry J. Kidnapped, I say, by men in black. Time to big egotize this case, and Merry Christmas to all. And we're going to talk about Popeye's Christmas special shortly. Barry Jordan notes, you need a lawyer. In my opinion, you also need to big egotize your case. Okay, so I posted that twice because I think you're going to need a lawyer, and the only way you're going to get a lawyer is if someone like the Big Ego helps you. And he may do that just for the sole purpose of him being the big man on campus, because that's what he likes to be. Even though in my show notes I have stated unequivocally that the Big Ego may or may not be questionable, the most honest person on YouTube. And that is a big question with a giant question mark. He's the only person at this point that I see that has the money to help you. So, people in tonight's video, P.A. Trucker, a man you threw under the bus who has given you at least $5,000 in donations, at least $5,000 in donations, $1,500 in a short period of time, but maybe that number is $3,000. Either way, he is your friend, and you threw him under the bus. Miss Dimples is going to take a part of this because you, in fact, admitted that you took 11,000 pesos from Miss Dimples' donation from P.A. Trucker. This goes to show that where the money is supposed to go, not by law, not by written agreement, but by verbiage. By verbiage, the money was supposed to go from P.A. Trucker to Miss Dimples, and only 60% of it got to Miss Dimples. Now, Popeye 1, that guy, that's the best editor on YouTube. We all know this. Barry, you claim that you want to get out of jail before Christmas, or you will not be in jail for Christmas no matter what it takes. Have you given this any thought? What will Popeye's Christmas special amount to if Popeye's Christmas special is about you being in jail or detention? What will his Christmas special amount to if you get out before Christmas? You will have let down, not only will you have let down Popeye, but you will have let down the entire YouTube community. That's sitting on the edge of their seat waiting for Popeye's Christmas special. You can't ask to be let out of detention before Christmas. You have to hang in there for the Christmas special. At which point you will be one of the most well-known Philippines bloggers in all of YouTube history. And then here is the upside of you being in jail on Christmas. You can ask on Christmas for donations. Even I will do a Christmas special asking to give you donations for Christmas if you're in jail for Christmas. So you'll have a Popeye 1 and myself that are going to ask. Well, Popeye's going to make you famous, and I'm going to ask for donations for you, and I'll collect the donations, and I'll give you the actual donations that are listed on my page, less YouTube's commission and less 3% that I pay in taxes. So you have nothing but benefits to look forward to, plus you can ask for donations for Christmas. You can get a cup and do like the FAZIO do on the street, and you could put some change in the cup and give it a little jingle for the Barry Jordan. So look, now let's go back. Oh, I see more comments. Hold on, let me get through the names that are going to star in this show, and I'll read the comments before I go to read the cyber libel. Because I'm telling you, Barry, you could believe this or not. You don't want to mention my name on your show. You'll say I'm crazy. Barry, I'm 147,000 times smarter than you and most of the people that are trolling you on your show. Like, this is me. The guy's a troll, dude. He asks you repeatedly, every single show he asks you repeatedly, when do you think you're going to get out of detention? Do you think you're going to be out of detention before Christmas? You don't need people like him on your show. He's never going to donate, And as soon as he leaves the comment and the comments scroll up past where you can't see them, he deletes his comments. And there's 5 or 6 people on your show that do that. They are trolling you. They don't give you money. They don't give you any hope at all by bringing up everything that's negative about your case. They don't do anything but remind you that you're in jail, lockup, detention, whatever. You need to eliminate those people. You're not getting any money for the views, and you're never going to get any money for those views. You're never going to get Super Chat again, because you're never going to get the hours in again. And if you do, no one's going to Super Chat you money anyway, because the $10,000 that you have been Super Chatted in the last 5 or 6 years, you dispersed it on worthless things. None of it ever went to where it was supposed to go. And you can't prove a single dollar of it ever went to a lawyer. Well, you had a receipt, but you didn't see the lawyer in the office handing him the money. That's not legal proof. A receipt, anybody could have wrote the receipt up for 36,000 pesos, whatever it was. You have been designated untrustworthy, okay? So you need somebody like the Giant Ego to egotize your position on this case. You need a lawyer. You need a lawyer, and we'll go through that in a moment. So who else is in this show? Thank you, Yoder's Farm. Who else is in the show? Popeye 1. Frank. Frank even has contributed to helping you by telling you repeatedly, Frank told you 1,000 times, 10,000 times, stop talking about me, aka Frank, and I'll stop talking about you. But you couldn't do that because your only income was from talking about Frank, and vice versa, except that you put your face in the camera and said things that may or may not be usable in a court of law. I don't know. I don't know anything that Frank has for what is called evidence. And some fictitious Filipino lawyer who you could have made up a story by a fictitious Filipino lawyer that says that you can charge Frank with kidnapping. I don't see it, and I have it in my notes what kidnapping, the definition of kidnapping is. I don't think that meets the requirements, but you would need a lawyer to file the charge, or you need to get the prosecutor, or the court's advocate to advocate your case for you. And in order to do that, you're going to have to write him a letter and show him proof that you have evidence that proves you were kidnapped, and you don't, in my opinion. So, the only lawyer you ever hired for a case against Frank was the only lawyer you ever hired that we know of was before you got locked up, and it was for a case against Frank, and that case never went forward because you had gotten arrested at that point. And we don't know that that lawyer ever got any money. It's only your word. And your word is basically only your word. So, the collection of $4,000 that you gave your blessings to disappeared with zero proof it was used for the intended purpose, which is why nobody is ever going to trust you again. Nobody is ever going to trust you again. Nobody. Forget it. It ain't never going to happen. Frank's Lonely Horse. What a name. What a name. The bummer is broke and screwed. True. Alabama poor boy. Now that's true. See, this is the problem. This is why you need you. You, Barry Jordan, you need to big egotize this. The big ego can help you. Nobody else is coming to your aid publicly. Nobody. No donations, no Gmail, no Gcash, no promissory notes, nothing. Only the big ego can help you. He promised to give you $1,500 for a plane ticket. I heard it. You heard it. It was live streamed. You tell him that you need that money. Ask him if you need a lawyer. Ask the giant ego. He will know. He will know. Maybe you're working with him behind the scenes and it's the one secret that you've kept in your life because you're not capable of keeping a secret. But if you're not working with the big ego, you need to work with the big ego so he can be the big man on campus, as my friend Flying Circus says. He needs to be the big man on campus. He wants to be the big man on campus. He has to be the big man on campus. Therefore, you need the big ego to egotize your case. That's true. Let's go back to my comments. Bantayan Brawler. Samsung Magic. Boy, that was hard to get that screen to turn around. Hey, buddy. Thank you for stopping by, Bantayan Brawler. Since I spoke with you, since I mailed you last, nothing has changed. Nothing. Unfortunately, I have no news. And no news is good news. Thank you for stopping by. Michael Jackson. Good evening, Michael. Good evening, Michael Jackson. And we know who Michael Jackson is because we have been friends with Michael Jackson for a very long time. Thank you for stopping by. The bummer is going no place anytime soon, says Frank's Lonely Horse. Now we have to wonder who Frank's Lonely Horse is, but not spend a lot of time on that comment. Frank's Lonely Horse says the bummer is going no place anytime soon. That's true. That is true. Frank's Lonely Horse has got that piece of information in the bag, in the feed bag, so to speak. Mike Dowdy, good morning, Michael. I know I'll be brokenhearted. I've had Popeye special on my calendar since June. Now, Mike Dowdy has mentioned Popeye's live stream for Christmas several times. Barry, please, whatever you do, don't rush to get out of jail anytime. Spend Christmas in jail. You deserve to have an all-paid vacation in jail. You're going to get some money out of this. Come Christmas, somebody's going to give you money. Now, nobody believes, also, Barry, just a quick note, nobody believes that your Social Security was cut off. The only way you could prove that, well, I don't know that you can prove it, but nobody believes it. So, was it cut off? Is it going into your bank? You've had 5 different stories about your Social Security. One is that you can't access it because it's in an American bank account. Because you changed it over. This is story number 2. You changed it over to your American bank account. This is why nobody trusts you. You changed the bank that the money goes to your American bank account. Well, had you set up the bank account properly in the Philippines and an American bank account, you wouldn't have this problem. And I'm not going to get into how to set up a proper banking account, but number one, you have to have an American bank account that the money was going in and an American address. You had all of that. But if you sent it to your Philippines bank account, then you screwed up by sending it back to your American bank account. But nobody believes anything that you say anyway, so I don't believe it. So if the money is going into your account, as you first said, if it's going into, then it's accruing. And you have $6,000 plus $3,000 plus in that account that you just can't get to. And you can't get to it because you didn't have a credit card or a debit card for it. That's your fault. Again, that's your fault. Nobody else's fault. Secondly, you said the money was shut off. If the money was shut off, Well, then you should have made it a point to go back to America. Now you're blaming Frank for having you detained when you could have gone back to America any time if you had your passport. But you didn't have $1,000 to get your passport back from the guy who loaned you $1,000 and kept your passport illegally. That's what you said. You needed $1,000 to get your passport back because somebody was holding it in lieu of $1,000, which is illegal. So you, if that's true, did something illegal, then he, by holding your passport for in lieu of money, did something illegal to hold your passport. It's called hostage. So by holding your passport hostage, he broke the law. By giving him the passport for money, you broke the law. Now, let's get back to the comments. We have other stuff to say. Let's go back over here. Frank's Lonely Horse. Hello, Mike and all. So who is Frank's Lonely Horse? Only the masked horseman knows. So Yoda's Farm. Is it true that Barry was kidnapped? Yes. No, it's not true. Barry was not kidnapped. There's no physical proof of that allegation. That's an allegation. Michael Jackson says, if this Barry needs help, all send him the money. How much money does he need? Michael Jackson, the answer is $3,000 for immigration, but that's to get back into the country. He doesn't have... Okay, so here's the answer to the question. I keep track of this stuff. Okay, so Barry can leave the country according to Barry's document that he says he has in his possession, but he needs a passport to do that. So 5 more lies. Everything involves 5 lies and more with Barry. If it's said, you know there's 5 lies and 3% truth. And the 3% truth is only argumentative truth. It's not necessarily factual truth. So Barry needs to get a passport to get married. Okay, now maybe he can get married and maybe he can't. I did not get into that yet, but I will. So, not that I care, but I would like to know if he could. But I don't think he can because he doesn't have a passport. And why doesn't Barry have a passport? He doesn't have a passport because the person he should have told to collect the money for him was either me, and I offered that a long time ago, that I would collect money for him and give him the money. I offered that years ago, maybe a year ago, that I would be the one to collect the money in a live stream somewhere, and that I would give him the money because he's incapable of holding on to money. To him, money has to be spent right away on some worthless endeavor. So I offered, but he declined. He declines to say my name. He says I'm crazy. Crazy and 147,000 times smarter than he could ever hope to be. I'll take those 2 into account on my next set of notes. But for the meantime, Barry needs to have an NBI clearance in order to get married. In order to get the NBI clearance, he needs to have a piece of paper saying there's no derogatory cases against Barry in the country of the Philippines. Well, if Frank's case is valid, big if, then he has a derogatory case against him. Therefore, he can't get married, in my opinion. I don't know the full effect of the law, but he should have a clean record. That's what I needed when Daisy and I were going to get married. We could have no marks against my person. I could have a case against someone else, and I did at the time, but no one could have a case against me. So I think that Barry needs to have his passport and what is called a clearance paper saying that there are no derogatory counts or claims against Barry Lee Jordan. Number 3, he needs a certain income in order to marry Shah. That's what I understand, that you have to be able to afford to pay bills. And I don't know what that threshold is. I think it's $23,000 a year, at which point that nullifies Barry getting married, if that's the same number you need in America. But either way, he doesn't have a passport because he didn't allocate the e-begging to a person that would do work for Barry's benefit. And the person he advocated to give the money to took the money, and with no contract, Barry has no leg to stand on in the court of law to have that money given to him. He knows this is true. You should have had a contract, but you didn't. So don't blame anybody but yourself for not making Shah the receiver of the money. That's true. You keep blaming everybody but yourself, Barry. I'm like the government, dude. I'm here to help. And you don't listen. And again, you don't listen. And now you refuse to say my name. That guy said I need full videos, not clips. That guy. Barry, you're going to be in jail for a very long time if you don't get a lawyer, and if there is a case against you by Frank. If Frank has a case against you, he can drag this out for years. A lawyer can shorten that up a little bit, not much. But Frank could just say, look, I'm sick, I'm in the hospital, I can't make it that day. The lawyer could have anything the lawyer wants to say. He can drag the case on for as long as he wants. You need to get a lawyer that says, look, this has happened 3 times, Judge. He's postponed the case 3 times. If there's a case, I need to get out of this detention. He can keep you there indefinitely, dude. Talk to the giant egotizer and ask him to find out for you. It wouldn't be that expensive for him to do that. He could find out the information if you need a lawyer. Maybe you're working with the giant egotizer as it is. But that guy is the only guy that can help you. That's true. DNC says Popeye is doing a Christmas special. Question mark. Will Barry be an elf? Barry will be exactly what Barry will be, an Alabama bat. Barry will be represented by an Alabama bat. Hopefully, the Alabama bat will be part of the Christmas show. DNC, silly DNC. Scott Del Fuego. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look for that picture. Where is that picture? Where is that picture? I had that picture up. Let's look for the picture on the community page. Let's look for my channel. There we go, right here. Here it is, baby. Look at that picture. Look at that. Does that not scream Alabama? Does that not scream Alabama, that picture? That picture screams Alabama kitties hog-nosed bat. It screams it. Look at the eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the eyes. Tell me that doesn't remind you of an infamous blogger in the Philippines, and I'll tell you that your eyes need new glasses. So let's go back to the notes. And on the page, Scott Del Fuego says, ladies and gentlemen, through time immemorial, there have been men that have transcended the common knowledge and spiritual limitations of their societies. Michael is a man operating beyond boundaries. Thank you. Thank you very much. The wordsmith is in the house. operating beyond the boundaries of convention in the space where knowledge is not absolute and supposition is unlimited. We are suppositioning here. Barry, I supposition that you need a lawyer. Enjoy a walk through the universal policies and or entities of wonder. From Scott Delforga. The wordsmith. The wordsmith. The truth is, Yoda's Farm. The truth is, for the past 7 years, Bantayan has been antagonizing Barry and being a full Southern. He ate it. Southern fool. The words were transposed there. It should have been Southern fool, not full Southern. All right, so here we have truth. We have truth. Barry, it's in my notes too. You have allowed Frank to antagonize you to putting content that he claims he can use in a court of law against you. He claims that you were kidnapped, quote unquote, by men in black. That's a universal, that's going to go down in history. Frank claimed that you were kidnapped by men in black, and I like that because it has nothing to do with reality, and yet your claims of being kidnapped, you may as well have been kidnapped by men in black because the people that kidnapped you don't exist in real life, and men in black don't exist in real life. So even though Frank is responsible for that part of the title, the quotient of the title, even though he gets full valor, glamour, he has been immortalized in Barry J. was kidnapped by men in black. We have immortalized Frank. He did to you what people, including myself and Yoda's Farm, said that he did to you. He antagonized you to the point of going on video with your face in the video on your channel, according to the claims made by Frank. And you said certain things that may be able to be used legally in a court of law. Now, that's true. They might be able to be used. That's why you need a lawyer, okay? To find out. Maybe you didn't get the video evidence because you didn't ask for it legally. I don't know that. I'm just taking a guess here. Maybe you didn't get the video evidence because he doesn't have to give it to you. He only has to give it to your lawyer. Maybe that's true and maybe it's not. I don't know. But we're going to read Cyber Libel in a minute. And the link that I put out for Cyber Libel and what Cyber Libel is. Now, you keep claiming that you can say anything that you want about Frank, and you can. That's your freedom of speech. But if it's malicious, which is part of the 10175 RA cybercrimes law, if it's malicious in nature, if it's false, if you can't prove it, and you need a lawyer to do that, then you can't use it. But you did it, according to Frank, you did it anyway. So he got you under your skin. And I'm not advocating for Frank. I'm just telling you that you screwed up royally by allowing him to get you so upset that you may have broken an RA code. I'm not saying you did, because he still has to prove that. But you have to prove that he kidnapped you, and you're not going to be able to do that without a lawyer. Maybe with a lawyer you can do that. You don't know the words, the verbiage. I have a case behind me where four people said they saw me do something in videos. And I needed a lawyer. I have the case, by the way. I found the case. Whoever, if you're listening, I found the case, Alan. I found the case, Alan. So, and I read what you wrote, and I read what you stated in the case. So, if you're listening, I'm telling Barry that because he says something doesn't make it true. Frank, that is. Because Frank says something doesn't make it true. But if he said it and he brings a case against you by the prosecutor, then you have to prove it's not true. And by proving it's not true, you need a lawyer. So stop dilly-dallying around and get on your knees and beg for the court's forgiveness and get a lawyer. Or, big egotize the case. Whatever you gotta do, you need him more than you know, in my opinion. Getting back to the comments, Frank's Lonely Horse has more to say. Oh boy. Big E must have bought that ring. I don't know. I don't know about that. It's a beautiful ring. And whether or not it's expensive or not expensive, we have to give Barry kudos for getting that far to get a ring. Congratulations, Barry. Nobody wants to see you fail. Barry, everybody on YouTube is on your side. Everybody. But you don't listen. And this fella, this is a perfect example. Look, see this guy? This is me. He's a troll. Get him off of your page. This is me. Look, he retracted the message. He leaves messages up for a minute or so. When the chat goes out of sight, he removes his message, so you don't know what he says. He's trolling you, moron. Bummer's time at the Gray Bar Inn has helped him grow up. It's helped him in many, many ways, Bentalion Brawler. Barry, you have no idea how beneficial people believe you being in jail has proven to be. Look at all the positives of this, what happened. You now have quit smoking, which would have killed you shortly thereafter if you didn't quit smoking. You have a bed. You don't have to worry about bills, and you're not going to have to worry about alcohol overdose. Okay? You got engaged, and not only that, the time has come for you, Barry Jordan, to have your own Christmas special. And now you're going to get your own Christmas special. I'm not going to get a Christmas special. Scott's not going to get a Christmas special. Nobody's going to get a Christmas special but you. You have made the grade, Barry Jordan. The benefits that you are reaping from being behind bars, and the benefits still to come from being in the Gray Bar Inn, are multiplying on a daily basis. Think about how many people are going to send you money out of sympathy on Christmas Day. You are going to be inundated with Super Chat and Gcash and promises and promissory notes. This guy, Barry Jordan, is going to be world renowned as the first YouTube blogger to spend Christmas in jail. Think about it. You'll be number one. He will be dreaming of a Giga Christmas. That's right. The Giga. That reminds me of that TV series. The Giga something. The Giga. There was like a head that floated through space. The Giga Universe or something like that. You're going to be dreaming of a Giga. Oh, I gotta get the pot. I gotta get the pot for the Bentalian brawler. Oh my God, that's deserving of a song. I gotta get the pot. He's dreaming of a gig of Christmas, just like the one that Frank says he deserves, and his rice and fish heads will be his meal on Christmas this year. That's what Christmas is all about. Barry's gonna be in jail for Christmas. The Bentalian brawler is right. Barry's gonna get fish heads and rice tonight. Fish heads and rice. Fish heads and rice is nice and free, unlike Barry is not free. Barry and Free have nothing to do with one another. I hope you get to talk to your family. Barry and Free rice and fish heads for Christmas is on the menu. And the Gray Baron has been teaching you what life is all about. Being straight, no cigarettes are good for you and good for us. We don't have to watch you spit on the floor next to where you sit. We don't have to watch you cough into your hand and then rub it on your shoulder or your knee. We don't have to watch all those disgusting habits that you had when you were smoking. No more spitting in the hand. No more phlegm on the knees. We are having Christmas without any Christmas trees. Fish heads and rice will be nice for Christmas this year. Yay! Barry Bentalian brawler is telling Barry to dream of a gig of Christmas. Gig of Christmas. Gig of Christmas. Gig of Christmas. Baby. So Barry, you know that because you refuse to say my name, I have no other option but to help you with a live stream. I have no other option other than to help you by doing live streams as your advocate. Think of me as a government entity and that I'm here to help Barry. And also to make you aware that what you said yesterday is probably not allowed. You're probably not allowed to tell somebody, if you do this, I'll do that. That's a kind of gray area that you have run into behind the Gray Bar Inn, according to the Bentalian brawler. So you, by making offers that if you do this, I won't do that, that's almost borderline extortion. Stop that. Even though your face isn't in the video, even though it's on another channel, there is a clause in the cyber libel that could be used against you in a court of law. You don't listen, dude. Talk about something else. Talk about how thick the bars are. Talk about something else, dude. You are so screwed. And I see a green mark on my page. I'm going to have to bang a pot for money this time. Okay, let's go back to the comments. banging a pot for money. That's always a good thing. Frank's Lonely Horse. You got to wonder who that is. That guy's being a real Butinsky. The bummer has used the Social Security being cut off many times over the past 8 years. Now, there is a truthful statement. Let's take that statement and let's pin that to the top. Let's pin that message to the top. Barry, because you have used that statement that you have your Social Security cut off, that you need to go see a doctor, that you need to go to the Manila. Let's stop this right now. Okay. You have used that statement many times. Barry, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. And then look. Look at what I'm going to show you next. You see up at the top of my screen here? Right over here. Social Security Administration. You are a liar. You are lying about going to Manila and that Frank somehow stopped you from going to Manila. That's not true on many different venues. That's not true. Dominic, that's not true. Good morning. That's not true. You can't go to Social Security Administration at the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines to straighten out a Social Security issue. I know that because I called up, what is the telephone number that I called up? 0230-320-2000. Oh, man, in order to get that number, let's look for the number. The number's here somewhere. Contact us. 02-5301-2000. I called up that number 100 times. I pushed redial. For you, Barry. For you, Barry, I pushed this number from the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines. I pushed that number 100 times. And you know what they said to me? I said to them, for you I did this, Barry. You don't believe it, and who cares what you believe? You are so screwed. Believing anything that you say is not even possible anymore. So you say this is the number that you need to call, okay? That's the link, and that's the number. You say that you were going to go to the embassy to get your Social Security squared away. You are not going to the embassy to get your Social Security squared away, and I'm going to tell you why. In-office appointments to ensure blah, blah, blah are limited to appointment only. So number one, you never had an appointment scheduled to go to the appointment to the office in Manila. But number two, this is how we know that you lied. You lied about this. Number two, in order to get an appointment, you have to call this number. Okay? Now I called it redial on a landline, which I keep telling you that you got to call so Shah can go and get your passport. But I called this number 100 times, redial. Okay? Redial that I got through to an operator. And I said to the operator, and I posted your case, what you're going through, without saying it was you. I said it was me. I said, I want to go to the Social Security office in Manila and straighten out my Social Security. There's a problem. The lady said, to me, no walk-ins at all, ever, to go to Social Security. That's for benefits, death benefits, children's benefits, spousal benefits. You can make an appointment to go to the Social Security office for spousal benefits, children's benefits, death benefits, hospitalization benefits, Medicaid benefits, but you cannot go to the office for Social Security issues, period. You can't make an appointment to go to the office for Social Security. You can't make an appointment to go there to square away a Social Security problem. You have to go onto their website, fill out an application, and wait a minimum of 2 weeks for them to mail you back a time and a day that they're going to call your Philippines phone. And then on that day, if they call up, then you can talk to them about your Social Security. So that you were going to go to Manila to square away your Social Security, that's a bologna and cheese sandwich. Toast with gray poupon mustard. But it's a lie. You were never going to Manila. You never were going to spend the money that you collected to go to Manila, to get the problem straightened out, because you can't do a Social Security office walk-in in the embassy. It's not possible. It's not allowed. You can't do it. You can do other Social Security issues in the office, but you can't do Social Security benefits. Get it through your head. Everybody knows you defrauded them. Everybody knows this. That's why they won't give you money. Maybe if just once you told the truth. Maybe if just once you told the truth, maybe they would start giving you money again. But you can't seem to wrap your head around the truth. The truth is, the number I just posted on the screen, call them up. When you get through, you have to dial 7 for English, I think it is, and then 8 for Social Security, whatever. There's 2 prompts after you call them up. And if you get an operator, tell them you want to square something away with Social Security, they'll tell you, sir, we can't take an online a phone request. Go to the online page, and then you got to go to this page here. Let me show you where it is, because you don't know. You don't listen, dude. I've been trying to help you for a long time, but you just don't listen, okay? And you refuse to mention, who gives a crap whether you mention my name or not. Embassy, on this page that I put the link in the description box, on this page, embassy sections and agencies, okay? And then the U.S. Embassy in Manila. And then from here, you have to go through these agencies and find the one that's right for you. I'm not going to do that now. That's your job. Learn how to do some work, because you are not only stupid, and I am 147,000 times smarter than you, and you are stupid for not listening to hundreds of times people have requested you do and don't do certain things, and you just refuse to listen because you're all grown up in Alabama. You are screwing yourself, Barry. My God, the ignorance is great in this one. Yoda would say the ignorance in this one is great. My God, you keep digging a deeper and deeper hole. I hate to use Frank's expression, but you're there because he's there. You are there because he's there and he did that. You are one silly dude, boy. So let's go back to the... Oh, I didn't do that. Whoa, what did I do here? I skipped past that? What happened here? I didn't get to it yet. Scott Del Fuego, the lumbering great manga. Now we know who that is. We know that that's the giant ego with the avatar. Lumbering giant manga with many money. Barry needs monetary help. Unless the Philippines... Okay, so this is true. I got this in my notes. Scott Del Fuego and I discussed this very topic. Barry needs monetary help unless the Philippines legal system decides, as Barry hopes, they want him to go as his dispute with another tourist is not worth pursuing. They can do whatever they want in their system. So even though this doesn't make any sense the way I read it, Barry has to hope. Barry has to hope that the Philippines government said, screw this, it's not worth keeping Barry in detention for years, we'll send him home. That's Barry's first and prime. But with a lawyer, you might be able to advocate this. Without a lawyer, I don't think you can present it to the court to make sense. If he was ready to be deported by the authorities and the only impediment was his passport, the U.S. authorities at the embassy can obtain an emergency passport for the trip, says Scott Del Fuego. And that's true, and that's why things that Barry says don't make any sense. This is me, says, Barry said for years he only has a sister, period. Now he said many times he has two brothers, Troy and Tim. They call them T and T, Troy and Tim. Barry is absolutely losing his mind, locked up. That part of This Is Me makes sense. He's not trolling you now, Barry. He's helping you. You said exactly what This Is Me said for years. So, if you said what he said, then I say what he says is true. Then what I say that he said is true must be true because he said what you said. Let me say that again. If This Is Me said what you said, and I say what you said is what you said, then what you said must be true because you said what you said. And now you're saying that what you said is not what you said. You're starting to sound like someone that's confused, which is what This Is Me said. This Is Me said you sound confused, you're losing your mind, and you call me crazy. Barry, let me tell you something. I have tried to help you more than most, and you don't listen, and you are the one in the gray bar in. You're the one who committed the sin. You are in the gray bar in because you have committed sins against the Frank. Sins against the Frank. The Frank is kicking butt and taking names, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go back to the notes. This is me with a very astute comment. Barry's brother is Big E. Whoa. Barry only could hope that Big E will play devil's advocate. Frank's Lonely Horse. Who else on here got a laugh out of the bummer saying he needs to get back to the States to fight for his country? Laughing my butt off. But I missed that live stream. See what happens when I go to bed early? Wow, he said that? Wow. Wow. Fight for his country. Barry, in order to get into the service, you got to pass a physical. Okay, Yoda's Farm. And I don't think you can pass the physical. Yoda's Farm, when it comes down to it, nothing's going to happen to Barry. Frank's going to lose all the money that he put out. You think the Philippines really cares about this? Yes, I do. Well, okay, so I don't know. I do and I don't. I don't and I do. But I don't care. I have to do the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the show must go on. And if I'm the only person that wants to make a show out of this, besides Popeye 1, the great Popeye 1, then I'm the only person that will make a show out of this. Okay? The show, ladies and gentlemen, the drama must go on. So, do I think the Philippines government cares? I don't know. I think they care enough. Here's what I know: they care enough about this part. They care enough about keeping the lawyers, which is what all countries do, the lawyers collecting a stipend every month to represent the people in the cases. That's true. That's one of the things that the court cares about. And it also, the judge, by allowing something to go on, a few more arguments more than it might or should, is also guaranteeing that his salary is secure. Now, do they have enough stuff to do the system without Barry? Of course they do. But without 10,000 Barrys that are going through the system now, maybe this is just part of a bigger aggregate of money coming into the court system. I don't know. But do I think they care? They care enough to keep the court system running smooth by keeping the courts open so that all of the people in the building of the court maintain a salary. That's their job. That's what they do in America. That's what I believe is the same, part of the same mindset in the Philippines. The more people go to court, the more money that comes in for the court system, and it's not costing them a penny to keep Barry in the building. A couple of dollars. Okay, he buys his own food, and he has to pay for his own stuff, whatever that stuff is. I don't know what that stuff is. But, so, does it pay for them to keep him in there? Do they care how much money it costs? It's just part of a bigger system called the court system, and they have to feed the lawyers and the judges a certain amount of money every week, and the more people that are in the system, the more money they get. It's not complicated. It's what all courts do. My court in America lasted 7 years. It should have been done in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 7 years. I have the record for the longest standing court case in the history, state of Florida, Monroe County, 7 years. I hold that record. And at 7 years, I only won on summary judgment. I won on summary judgment. I won $35,000, of which $20,000 went to lawyers and court fees. So I didn't win anything. And Barry's in the same position. He could do this for years. He could be in lockup and detention. And do they care about Barry? The judge doesn't care. The judge isn't in lockup. Frank don't care. I don't care. Not a lot of people care about where Barry is. Like I said, the show must go on. Back to the Let's Bang a Pot. I see Super Chat. And that's what this show does. It does a show. I give you a show. And you need to learn that when I'm banging a pot, you should be grateful that I'm banging a pot. I give you a show that nobody else has ever given you before, and no one else will ever give you afterwards, says Michael Thomas Fozzie. So we have to let's give Frank a big shout out. Big shout out to Frank. Frank said that men in black put Barry in the gray bar shack. Frank said that the men in black put Barry in the gray bar shack. Frank's lonely horse sent me $5 because I make everyone laugh. Laugh at me, laugh with me, Barry J. You are in the gray bar stables. You are in the gray bar stables. The gray bar stables is where you will stay. In the gray bar stables, you will stay in the gray bar stables. You belong to Frank. Frank is giving you a little spanking. Barry, you are being spanked by the Frank, which is better than, I don't know, I could make something else rhyme, but then I'll get a strike. Barry is getting spanked by Frank. Frank is spanking Barry's flank. 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 Barry is in the gray bar stables. Hey, that was pretty good. Frank is spanking Barry's flank. Even I have to admit, that was funny. So, back to the comments. Barry, you give hours and hours between you and the Frank, hours and hours of YouTube entertainment. Let's celebrate their first super chat on live stream. Oh, so that was Frank's Lonely Horse's first super chat. Let's celebrate that. We should celebrate that by somebody write a song. Let's celebrate it by writing a song, and I'll sing the song. And it won't be long. I'll sing the song. Let's go over here. What am I doing? What is this? Hey, buddy. Hey, back down to Frank's Lonely Horse. Let's not. So you guys, Frank's Lonely Horse, he should be setting an example. Frank has spanked the flank of Barry J. Barry J is in the Hooskow to stay. Barry Jordan is in the Hooskow to pray on the court that he gets out. Barry needs to be egotized. Barry does not realize that I am here like the government to help. Barry, you need help now. You cannot be your advocate. You're not smart enough to sit in the court and talk to the judge. You're just not smart enough, dude. Neither am I. But you got to remember something, Barry. Michael Thomas Fazio is 147,000 times smarter than you. At least that many times smarter than you. Can you show us anything that you have ever done that shows education and or competence in a court of law in the Philippines? You have been in jail for 6 months and you probably haven't read the cybercrimes law to understand it, because you still keep, in my opinion, breaking the RA 10175 code. That's my opinion. We'll read that momentarily and we'll find out. John Blaze, got to talk about cockroaches if John Blaze is in the house, because John Blaze has another menu and venue. John Blaze calls Barry the Roach. That's just not called for. You should not call Barry Jordan a roach. That's derogatory, and that's not allowed to be mentioned. You will not be allowed to mention calling somebody a roach more. When John Blaze calls Barry a roach 100 times, 100 times, on the 101st time, I'm going to block the Blaze. I'm going to block him. Let's get John Blaze's, if you guys are here, let's get John Blaze's channel link up there, because John Blaze, he has 100 reasons that Barry should stay in jail. This John Blaze fella, oh my God, he calls Barry derogatory names. He calls Barry the Roach King, the Roach Meister. He's always calling Barry names. You know, and I know, and you know that that's not right. And you will say 100 times that Barry is a roach, and I will block you on the 101st time. Take my word for it. If you say it 100 times, you're getting blocked. You are not allowed to call somebody a cockroach on my channel 101 times. Get off my channel, John Blaze, and anybody that wants to see John Blaze and him call Barry a roach. 600 reasons. 600 reasons to call Barry Jordan a roach, says John Blaze. You can go to his channel right now. My God, John Blaze. Let's go to John Blaze's channel. Let's go here. Let's talk about Swamp King meets Aloe de Winter. Let's talk about some of his videos. Let's see. Where is a Barry, a roach? No roach videos? Barry saga continues with no support. Barry's saga continues with no support. Let's go here. And this is John Blaze. John Blaze in this video. In this video, Barry's saga continues with no support. John Blaze goes into great detail that even Barry's family did not help Barry, which is true so far. That's true so far. So this is let's get that video link up there, because so far I see that as being truth, justice, and the American way, which also shows us that Barry is in the gray bar inn because of his sins against the Frank. His sins against the Frank have brought him the gray bar inn lifestyle of the gray bar inn. Frank. Doesn't that sound like the Penguin on Batman? Remember Batman and the Penguin? Look. Frank. Oh, Frank waddling the Penguin, right? Imagine we could do an artificial intelligence with the Penguin. Popeye could do this. Popeye could do an artificial intelligence with the Penguin in Batman, where Batman and Robin are in the video, and the Penguin is in the room going Frank with the cane. Frank. The Penguin's saying Frank, not like that, not that. Frank. Frank, 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 Frank. Here, well, I got a walking stick right here. I could use this. Look at it. I'm the penguin, and I'm walking around. Frank, 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 Frank. And Batman and Robin are looking at the penguin, going, look at that. He's saying Frank, Frank. Who's Frank? Robin looks at Batman and says, who's Frank? And Batman says, Frank. Frank is the man who put Barry in the gray bar in. Frank, 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 Frank. Like that. You know what I'm saying? Are you catching? Are you picking up when I'm throwing down Barry? Frank, 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 Frank. Frank, 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 Frank. Frank. Frank, 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 Frank. You could even do like a marching song from the old German war movies. Frank, 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 Frank. And this is why Barry thinks I'm crazy. I'm doing a show. I'm doing a show here. I'm trying to do a show here. John Blaze is trying to say something. Let's go back up to the comments and see what John Blaze is throwing down here. Because John Blaze talks like that. John Blaze. James Marshall Hendricks is in the house. Tommy Temper, Barry who? Oh, this is the great Barry J. The great Barry J. Tommy Temper. Barry, for faster service with the U.S. Embassy, tell them your name is Barry Taliban. Frank's horse. Let's not forget when people call Bummer out on his lies during the lies, he blocks them. Oh, yeah, baby. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that when you call Barry out on a lie, he blocks you. That's true. That's true. But that's his prerogative. Look, it's the gray bar. It's the gray bar hour. Barry's power hour of gray bar in stuff. Frank, 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 Frank. Frank, 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 Frank. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Frank is responsible for the Men in Black. It's his catchphrase. It's his quote. It was his idea. He said it first. Frank, 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 Frank. Frank probably knows for a fact that I was going to do a show. Once I saw Barry's show, I had to do a show. And therefore, Frank knew I was going to do a show because Frank is a prescient human being. Skeletor has eaten the roach's bum rim. Oh, God. Oh, God. Swamp Master is jealous. Oh, God. Oh, God. Look at what John Blaze is saying. Of the roach because he receives love and butt stuff. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh, let's pin that right up to the top of the page. Let's pin it. Replace pinned message, baby. That is one nasty comment. That is the kind of comment I don't want on my page. Okay? Oh, God. Skeletor has eaten the roach's bum rim. Swamp Master is jealous of the roach because he receives love and butt stuff. Oh, my God. 600 reasons to call the Barry the roach. Barry, 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 Barry. Frank, 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 Frank. I'm already a sub on his channel. Well, thanks, Frank's Lonely Horse. Boy, Frank probably loves that name. Frank, 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 Frank. Thank you, Foz. Thank you, Foz. You're welcome. Hey, message retracted. Okay, so free board and water for dirty rice. Free board and water and dirty rice. Well, it's fish heads. It's boiled fish heads. I don't know if that's true. Why is it named Zionist? That was the name of my channel 10 years ago. I named this channel is 8 years old. I named it Zionist ZooTube because it's the only channel with that name, and I wanted a different name. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry about that, but that's the name of my channel. That's what gave the channel the opportunity to gain 5,000 subs. Although YouTube has removed the notifications from most of those subs. But when the channel came out, it was an immediate success just by the name itself. Got to remember, freedom of speech had a different understanding of freedom of speech. You could say Zionist YouTube and say, people would say, well, that's a great name. Let me go sign up and become part of Zionist YouTube. But now, not so much. But that's been the name for 10 years. Now, let's go back to the John Hines, because I'm a Zionist. Okay. Well, you're in the political, you're at the top of the political ladder, that's for sure. Nobody is going against the Zionist propaganda in our media today. So maybe you should stick with that. And why don't you name your channel Zionist YouTube 2? All right, let's go back to my notes. Thanks for stopping by, John Hines, and thanks for that information. Let's go here. Let's go to my notes. Let's go to my notes. Let's do that right now. I just have to check to make sure there's nothing on this page. Okay. Skeletor has eaten the roaches. Whoa. Yeah, that's true. That is true. So, here we go. I think I'm going to have to shut. Okay. Okay, so the collection of $4,000 that Barry collected for his passport and for his lawyer, not a single penny, not even 1 penny of that. Do you have a receipt that it went to any lawyer at all? Not a penny of a receipt do you have that it went to get your passport back. Not a penny. All you have is the fact that you collected 4,000 US dollars, 200,000 pesos, and for that money, you got back $150. If you take 4,000 and divide it by 150, you have about 1/30, less than that, 1/30 of the money that was given that we see. That's not PayPal, that's not Gcash, that's not gone to another person's Gmail account. You collected 30 times more money and never showed a single receipt for that money. Not a dollar worth of receipts. You say that money was spent on a lawyer. You can't say money was given because you owed $1,000 and your passport was being held hostage, because you can't say it, because that's illegal. But you borrowed $1,000 from somebody years ago, and they took your passport as collateral. That's against the law. So you can't say that you did that, because you would have been breaking the law. Frank, don't pay any attention to what FAZIO says. Barry says FAZIO's crazy. Now, so 4,000 US dollars we know went to Barry Jordan's cause, and 1/30 of that was spent on food. What gives you the right to go have $30 and $40 dinners, $80 dinners? What gives you that right? When you collected that money for your legal fees and passport, nothing. You have paid away the money. You have spent it foolishly. That's what, nobody is going to give you a dime. But I don't want to repeat myself like you do. Let's go on to the next part of my notes. My notes. In fact, you owed $1,000 for the passport being held for ransom. So we can assume that $1,000 went to pay off the debt, even though that's illegal. That's what I just said. The Barry saga continues. And you refuse to understand the RA codes. So let's get the RA codes. This is going to be in my in the comments section of the video. When the video goes to a video format, I'm going to have all of these notes in there. Barry is claiming that he was kidnapped, and it can be ruled because he is being detained for an infraction of the Philippines law of the Bureau of Immigration. I don't think kidnapping falls under what happened to you. And we'll talk about that momentarily. What is the full meaning of kidnap? To kidnap someone is to take them away illegally. See this word illegally? Illegally. The BI took you legally. That didn't happen. By force, that did happen, but no, there was no force fighting. There was no fighting. And usually to hold them prisoner in order to demand something from their family, employer, or government. In this case, they're just demanding what you owe them because you agreed to pay immigration fees and you didn't do it. So there was nothing illegal about them arresting you. There was nothing being held for extortion because you agreed to pay them Bureau of Immigration fees and you didn't do it. So you broke your agreement and they locked you up. Lock them up. Frank. Non-compliance to the law is not kidnapping. Non-compliance to the law is not kidnapping. So you didn't comply and they arrested you for your non-compliance. Because he broke a code or a law and agreement with the Philippines when he entered the Philippines as a guest. Frank. As for proving you are being held, Frank, for extortion of money from who? Who is extorting money from you? Frank is not. Frank is not extorting money from you. Frank just wants you to spend the rest of your life in jail, but he didn't ask for any money. You don't have enough money to buy off Frank. You promised that you nullified, here's some more lies. You promised that you nullified your passport 3 months ago and that it was worthless. You also stated and quoted that you applied for a new one and you no longer need the old one. You said that. You said this. And that Shah was going to Manila to get you a passport. But now you claim you need the passport so you could get married. Well, which is it? Frank. You, not Frank. You said this. Frank didn't say this. Although he might say it in his next live stream. But then you said you don't have the money to get a new one. So first you said you nullified the old one. Then you said that you need the old one. Then you said the old one is no good, you're going to buy a new one. You have the money. Shah is in Manila to get you a passport. Then you said you don't have the money to get a passport. And you don't have to go to Manila to get a passport anyway, so you use the word Manila instead of Cebu, which is where you and Shah live. So the story gets even more complicated as the minutes go on. You are confusing to listen to as you change the story too many times. Frank, 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 Frank. Frank, 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 Frank. Frank, 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 Frank. Free board and water. John, thanks for the info. You bring me, let's see what he says. You bring me an idea. You bring me on an idea. Okay, well, you can name your channel Zionist ZooTube number 2, because those are the number 2s, baby. They are the number 2s. Remember, the 2s sound like Chewbacca in Star Wars. Chewbacca, Chewbacca. The story is all you need is your passport. That's the first story. All you need is your passport, and you can get out because your walking papers are ready. I call bologna and cheese. Frank, 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 Frank made up the term Men in Black. Frank, Frank, Frank said that. Frank, Frank, Frank. It was his idea to say you were kidnapped in by men in black. And now look at you, you're in a gray bar shack. Make fun of me all you want. Call me crazy. But remember, you're there because Frank's over there. Frank, 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 Frank. Frank's over there, and you're over there. You got to admit, that's the truth. The truth. Nothing but the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So far, you have explained why you're still in detention. So far, you have never explained. Yep. So far, you have never explained why you're still in detention. You have given multiple stories. You have said multiple things. You have lied. You have questioned. You have made up stories. But the truth is, it seems that you are there. You are there. You are in detention. You are there because I'm here. And Frank's over there. Just kidding. Just kidding, Barry. Trying to add a little humor to the show. Trying to earn a little super chat, a little jingle by making people laugh. But it doesn't seem to be working. So, on with the show. On with the show. I think you have a hearing. I think you have to have a hearing on your case. And things are just slow, and people wait years for hearings if they don't have a lawyer. You need to get a lawyer, dude. Frank, 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 Frank. Frank is going to drag this out forever. You need a lawyer. You say you have a lawyer. You said you had a lawyer. The only lawyer that you ever had that I can remember, and I remember everything because I'm 147,000 times smarter than Barry is. You said you had a lawyer. You collected 100,000 pesos for a lawyer to put a case against Frank. John Blaze gave you some of that money, $500, I think. You only showed a receipt for 36,000, 40% of that 100,000 pesos. And then we never saw another receipt. But we only saw a receipt. We did not see money being handed to a lawyer. And you keep claiming that your lawyer doesn't want his face shown. I call bologna and cheese, Barry. People said they would donate only to your lawyer because you've defrauded them in so many times they don't trust you anymore. And you say your lawyer doesn't want to be known who he is. I say you don't have a lawyer. I say. I don't care what you say. I never cared what you say, and I'm never going to care what you say. I say that you don't have a lawyer for the case to fight Frank. We have never seen proof that you have a Bureau of Immigration lawyer. The only lawyer you ever had was the lawyer to file a case against Frank. Frank. Whoa. I wonder if I could do that with a pot. Does it sound good if I say Frank a lot and I bang a pot? Frank Spank Barry, Frank Smack Barry, Frank Smack Barry. Frank's gonna give Barry his own Christmas special. If it works out, Frank will be happy. Although I doubt that's possible. Frank. Frank Spank Barry. Spanking Barry behind gray bars could be called the gray bar in spanking of all time. Frank. Frank made up that the men in black kidnapped Barry. That's where the title came from. It's a quote from Frank. That's true. Barry, Frank loves you too. Oh boy, back to the comments. Skeleton. Monkey, I will donate you $5, says the monkey. Well, thank you very much. I'll make up a monkey song. Monkey spanking song. There'll be a monkey spanking song soon. Monkey spanking song. So you need a lawyer. For a long time, you have never shown proof to people that you have a lawyer. People are calling you a liar. You don't have a lawyer. You can't get donos because you already got $4,000 or maybe $6,000 for a lawyer that you squandered away. Now you want people to trust you again after $4,000 disappeared. Barry, you got to admit, that money disappeared, man. You never saw that money. It never came. It never went. It was supposed to go to you. Do you have paperwork to show that? No. Do you have a contract? No. Do you have a verbal agreement on camera? No. Do you have a sworn testimony in video format that you were going to get that money? No. So you just gave the money to somebody on trust. And it didn't go to where it was supposed to go, or it did. Maybe there is a lawyer in Manila that you don't know about. I don't think there is. But this is all you, Barry Jordan. Don't blame it on Frank. Like the penguin. Frank. The penguin. Batman. Who is this Frank man, Batman? I don't know, Robin. Frank. I don't know. The penguin is losing his mind. Frank. Frank is loving this. Hey, Frank, how you doing? I made you famous. Me, and 350,000 other comments. Your story changes from minute to minute, Barry. So give the money to Shah. She's honest, you say. So why didn't you give the money to Shah? She's the girl that you love. She's your future wife. I think you should have gave her the money in the first place. Barry, I told you, work with the big E. Egotize this story. get this story. Look, Barry, look, here's the truth. Even if you egotize this story, unless he's already been working with you behind the scenes, which I think is possible, unless he's already been working on this for months since his first visit, when he wanted to make Shah part of his harem. How could I make a video without mentioning that? And you were okay with that. But she's the woman you love. Look, far be it from me to bring up anything negativity in this video. So, he may be working with you. He may have been working with you all along and you're just keeping it a secret. But you need him. You need to egotize this like McDonald's needs to, what do they call that? Supersize. You need to supersize, egotize this like Burger King supersizes their meals. You need to get the giant ego-size this right away, before Christmas, because otherwise you're going to be in jail for Christmas. I don't think you're going to get out of jail before Christmas. I hope that you do. Frank, put your fingers in your ears like that. Frank, don't listen to this. Frank. Don't look. Go, Frank, mute the computer. Don't tell Frank, but I want Barry Jordan to get out of jail, but not before Christmas. You will ruin everybody's holiday. You want to be responsible for ruining everybody's holiday? Do you want to be responsible for destroying Pennsylvania truckers' reputation? Do you want to be responsible for destroying Miss Dimple's reputation? Do you want to be responsible for talking about all the women that you talked about in a derogatory fashion? No, you don't want to be responsible. You want the giga ego to get you out of jail right after the first of the year. Let us enjoy our holidays in the Philippines, baby. Because you owe us that much. For the $10,000 that you've collected in Super Chat, you owe the YouTube community that much. Please, stay in jail until Popeye is done with his Christmas special. Mike Dowdy wants it. Popeye wants it. Nico wants it. I don't care one way or the other. Frank wants it. You don't want to let down Frank. He's the guy that's going to make you famous, infamous, whatever. To you, it makes no difference. In the gray bar inn, through the bars, it all looks the same. It's all gray behind the gray bars. Now, let's go back over here. Let's see. But understand, the big liar is an even bigger liar than you, because he has lied for years and years and years, and people believe his lies, and that makes him a better and a bigger liar than you. You're the last person of trust, but he is your best interest, your best hope. He is the last person in the world that you should trust, because he's the biggest liar, fraud, and or deceiver on YouTube, the Giga Ego. But he's your best hope. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. That's just my opinion. He said he would help, so it's his turn to big egotize the community. So with the big egotizer on your side, you might be able to get enough Super Chat to buy some nice foods for Christmas. Because I don't see anybody donating money to you, and I don't know why. I know I wouldn't, but I don't know why they would. Frank. Now, once again, he can do the defense for your BI fines and court date. In other words, egotistic, the big ego, can help you he can help you more than he will hurt you. He's not going to hurt you, but he can help you find out what you need to get a court date set up. Now, I'm not being stupid here. I'm being smart. I'm telling you, you need help, and I'm telling you the big ego can help you. So here's 4 people claim that I did something that I did not do, and even though there was proof that I did not do it, I still needed a lawyer. That should be your understanding of this case. Whether you did it or not, you need a lawyer to tell the judge that you didn't do it, or you need to be able to talk to a prosecutor to show them that you didn't do it with proof that you didn't do it. And then the prosecutor will be your advocate, but you're not smart enough to do that, so you need the big ego. If there is video, if there is no videos, full videos, not clips, then there is no proof and you're okay. But if there is videos, full videos with timestamps, transcripts, and channel links, you're screwed. But you need a lawyer to address the case. And you keep saying that Frank filed the case against you. I think we need to see that paper again, because I don't think it was Frank. I think it was the prosecutor. The prosecutor filed the case against you, not Frank. Frank gave the prosecutor the information to file a case. The prosecutor may have decided there was a case, therefore the prosecutor, not Frank, filed the case. See, this is the part of the law. You don't listen, dude. You don't listen. Frank didn't file anything. Frank gave somebody information that says you are guilty of a crime. The prosecutor looked at it and said, this might be true. Let's go ahead, or not go ahead. We don't know. But if the prosecutor is going ahead with the case, then you need a lawyer to defend yourself, because you don't even have the verbiage to talk to a judge to say that this, and I can show you the case. I have it behind me. The lawyer had to write that because of this law and that law and this previous case that was filed 10 years ago, that these videos and video clips should not be allowed. You know, you can't do that. You need a lawyer. Just get it through. I keep saying it. You keep saying that FAZIO's crazy. I don't even listen. I'm not even, you don't have to mention my name. I'm still going to help you, Barry. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you like the government. I'm here to help, buddy. Frank. So, if you had a lawyer, Frank might have to give the video clips to your lawyer. But maybe, Barry, this is a big maybe, listen to this. Maybe, because you don't have a lawyer, and you didn't ask for the video clips. You can't say, I want to see the video clips. You can't say that. What gives you the right to, I want to see? You need to cite a law that says you have the right to see the video clips. I don't know what that law is. But if you want the evidence, you have to ask the court for the evidence in a legal fashion. Ask the giant egotist. If he egocizes the case, you'll find out that you needed to ask for the evidence in legal verbiage. You don't have any legal. You're a grown man, but you growed up in Alabama, and Alabama doesn't grow up lawyers. That's for sure. You are living proof that Alabama doesn't grow lawyers on trees. You're an amazing man. Apparently, the persecutor saw it to move forward with the case. I don't know, because you won't show us the papers. Stop fooling around and show us the paperwork. Show us who's prosecuting, who's the name of your advocate in the court papers. You keep hiding all of this stuff. That's why nobody trusts you. And all that's nonsense that you're spouting. You're not spending Christmas in jail. And you'll do anything to not be in jail for Christmas. Well, get a lawyer. And do you understand how upset that will make Popeye 1? Do you understand how upset Popeye 1 will be if you are not in jail on Christmas? Come on, man. Don't do this to Popeye. His heart can't take it. Make Popeye's possibly last Christmas special a special Christmas special. You need to spend Christmas in jail. Otherwise, the Christmas special won't be special. If you don't spend Christmas in jail, how can the Christmas special be special? Come on. You're losing your mind. Like last night, you ain't spending Christmas in jail. You're going to do this, and Popeye needs you in jail for Christmas so the show can be a success. And you owe it. You owe it to the people. You owe it to the donors. You owe it to everybody to give the people what they paid for. Start decorating your place for Christmas. If you get a... Come on, Barry. Don't play stupid. You know you're going to be in jail for Christmas. You know that. Frank. It has nothing to do with Frank. Nothing at all. Frank doesn't have a darn thing to do with you being in jail for Christmas. Nothing at all. You're in jail because the Philippines court system is slow. That's the only reason why you're in jail. You know that, and I know it. Don't blame it on Frank. Don't do it. It's not true. So far, Frank's charges against you have nothing to do with you being in jail. Nothing at all. He can claim whatever he wants. But Barry, you're a smart man. You know better than that. Frank did not put you in jail. You put you in jail. You acknowledged that last night. I need water. I have no water. Let's go back to the notes. I'll let you guys read some notes. If you get a court date, oh, the Samsung phone. If you get a court date for Frank's charges, a lawyer will prevent it from being postponed several times and cut your detention by several months. You need to know if a prosecutor took the case, and if there is a case, just show us who is filing the case against you. Show us the paperwork, please, Barry. Show us. Yesterday you were going to show the paperwork and you said Shah took the paperwork home with her so she could read it. Get a copy of the paperwork so you can have a copy. So the Filipino lawyer that visited you yesterday can read a copy. You have so many stories that contradict one another. Nobody's ever going to believe anything that you say ever again. Ever. Frank. Penguin, Frank. Frank, 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 Frankie, Frankie. I put extra lemon in it today. Extra lemon, and it's right on the verge of freezing water. Frank, Frank, Frank. The penguin would love that. Talking about the penguin and the Frank, Frank. The penguin loves cold water. Let's go back to my notes. Now, if Frank does have a case, here's what will happen. You will appear in... If Frank does have a case, here's what will happen. You will appear in court and need a lawyer to defend your case. You are not a lawyer. You would not even know how to tell the judge that the clips and the videos are not legal. I spelled legal wrong. You do not even know how to do that. You have an entire case history of defending against falsely claimed. I have an entire case history. And if you were my friend and if you acknowledged me, but it's too late for that. We're never going to be friends. You can take that to the bank. You're an idiot. I told you to ask to see how much I helped you in the past. You know what I offered you in the past. And you say that I'm crazy and that you won't even mention my name. Dude, I don't care if you mention my name or not. You're an idiot. And that's the way it's going to stay. You were grown up in Alabama. I have tried to help you so many times, and you ignore my help. I have an entire case history of defending against falsely claimed case. And it took 2 months to sort that out. 2 long written arguments by my lawyer to get it done. Plus $1,000 cash to bring it for my lawyer to take the case. So because my lawyer wrote an argument against false claims, listen to this, moron. You are a moron, too. My lawyer wrote 2 pages like this, or 3 pages like this. Why the videos that were used against me couldn't be used. 2 or 3 pages. Alan. And that cost me $1,000 for him to take the case. Then there was an argument back that those videos should have been able to be used. Then my lawyer wrote 3 more pages of why they shouldn't be used, and the court squashed the case, saying that the case could not be filed again. But it cost me $1,000, you moron. So, you, whether the videos are real or not, if the court decides that the case can be filed, you need a lawyer to show the court why it can't be filed. Now, the videos that were put against you, Barry, may or may not be valid. But the prosecutor, it's not his job to validate the videos. His job is to just determine if there's merit to file a case. And your job is to defend against the case. If the prosecutor says, go ahead, these videos look like you have a case, let's go ahead with the case. You need a lawyer to defend the case. And now whether it's right or wrong, whether you win or lose, that's the way the system works. The system feeds itself. The prosecutor says, I think this is okay for a case. Might not be so great, but you hire a lawyer, and I get to go to court 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 times, or 19 times like my case. 19 times the court gets paid a certain amount of money. 19 times the lawyers argue a point, one point or the other, and the court dates continue. And that's what they're going to do to you. So it's 2 years, going on 2 years, well, 1.5 years now for me. But it was 2 back and forths with the lawyer for the invalid documents, and that took 2 months. So even if you hire a lawyer today to fight the videos that were put against you, could still be 2 months. Therefore, Popeye gets his Christmas show. We are at November, December, January. You'll be out on January 12th if it only takes 2 months and you hire a lawyer today. That's the good news. The bad news is if you don't hire a lawyer today, it'll be 2 months from the time you hire a lawyer and you show him the case. But the good news is that Popeye's going to get his Christmas special. And the bad news is that you have to go out and buy Christmas decorations for the Gray Bar Inn. That's the good and the bad. The ugly is that this whole thing happened. Frank. Don't blame me. I tried to help you. I told you, you said it last night, you moron. You said, I don't listen to nobody's advice. And you didn't. Okay, now look where it got you. Don't blame. Stop blame. You didn't listen to anybody. I'm a grown man. Okay. You're a grown man, and you're in lockup. And you're going to be there for the Philippines community for the Christmas special that we're all looking forward to. Popeye 1 is gonna make you infamous. Popeye 1 is gonna make Christmas like a bliss. If ignorance was bliss, if ignorance was a state of bliss, if ignorance was a state of bliss, you would be like a god among men. Barry, those are my words to you. If ignorance was a state of bliss, you would be likened unto a god amongst men. If ignorance was a state of bliss. In other words, you are one dumb guy. If you were any dumber, you'd be 2 dumb guys. You are one dumb son of a gun, boy, I gotta tell you. You demanding, Frank. You demanding, oh, wrong way. If you demanding Frank show you videos means nothing. You making deals with Frank to drop the case, you're going to drop the kidnapping charges that haven't been brought to court. You're going to drop the fictitious kidnapping charges. And then if he drops the case, well, first of all, you need a lawyer to file the fake kidnapping charges. And then the court needs to say, yep, Frank had you kidnapped. That's what the court has to say. Frank. The court has to say that Frank kidnapped you somehow. You'd have to get 5 police officers to say they were bribed. That ain't going to happen. The court has to say you were legitimately kidnapped. Where you come up with 1,000 pesos a day, I don't know, but that's your number. And it takes you 10 minutes to figure out. That's the funny part about you coming up with 1,000. It's 1,000 pesos a day, and I'm in here for 6 months. He owes me 200,000 pesos. It's simple math, dude. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 30 is 180. 180 times 1,000 is 180,000. It's not complicated. And somehow you came up with 200,000. Make it 300,000. So you prove that there's a case of kidnapping against you, and you bring that case against Frank. You bring the case against Frank. Bring the case against Frank. And now he has to hire a lawyer to fight the kidnapping charges. Now you have leverage. Not before that, though. So you need a lawyer to file the kidnapping charges, to put the case against Frank, so that you have what is called leverage against Frank to drop the charges. Meanwhile, Frank's charges go forward, and without the kidnapping charges, you remain in detention, lockup. Your fault. You should have listened to Michael Thomas Fazio when I told you to stop talking about Frank and putting your damn face in the video on your channel. Then you need an agreement in writing for all the case charges to be dropped as far as being... Now, as far as being a snitch, you say you don't want to be a snitch. Well, where are we? You may not want to be a snitch, but you should have chose con artist, that you didn't want to be a con artist and a scammer. You stole money from the girl in Mindanao, Miss Dimples, from PA Trucker, that's true, 11,000 pesos. PA gave you 25,000 for Dimples, for you to give the money to Dimples, and you kept 11,000 pesos. So, you were not a snitch, but according to PA Trucker, you're a thief. You collected $1,500 to be used for your teeth from PA Trucker. You said 500 was stolen. I don't believe it. You went to the hospital and spent $500 on hospital bills. I don't believe it. And the other 500, you just spent it on booze and cigarettes. That I believe. So 1,500 from PA Trucker. None of it went to fix your teeth or to have your teeth pulled out. Therefore, you squandered the money. Okay, now, the RA codes. Wait, let's go back to the comments for a moment. Fazio tells the truth. I went through this. I did call up Social Security, Barry. I did call up Social Security just for you. Just to find out if you could cure your Social Security problems in Manila, and you can't. I will donate $5, says Monkey. All right, thank you. Free housing, free fruits, free utilities, free soap and water. The ability to have the girlfriend there for the needs, and then privacy when she leaves. Free internet. He'd be crazy to leave. Popeye 1. He's not only going to get a 2023 Christmas special, but he's going to get an Easter, Thanksgiving, and a Christmas special in 2024. Maybe Trump, maybe you could start writing President Trump and asking him for a presidential pardon. Well, that ain't going to work. Frankenstein, Frank Feeder, Frank Lee, Frank Sensimer. Those are all famous people. Frank. Let's see who Frank Furter is. Wait, I bet you that's some kind of criminal. Let's take a copy of that. Frank Fetter. Frank. Big Frank Day today. He's an actor. All right, so famous, there's a lot of people named Frank. Michael Jackson. Happen, not help, sorry. Happen, not help, sorry. Whoa, if that's not a classic line from a famous Shakespeare play, I don't know what is. Michael Jackson. Happen, not help, sorry. Happen, not help, sorry. Oh my God, it's happen, help, not help, sorry. Happen, not help, sorry. Root Savage. Holy smokes. I was scrolling and thought he was Joe Pesci. I'm not Joe Pesci, but thanks for that. Ruth Savage is in the house. Frank's Lonely Horse. He is a grown man, he says, but then begs for money to pay his overstage fees, his attorney fees, begs for money to get married. It's like a never-ending bummer begging. A bummer begging party. A begging bummer party. Begging for bummer. Begging for bummer. Will happen next summer. Begging for bummer. Goes on and on. And on and on. On. It's like 3 dots. On and on and on and on. Begging for bummer. Hey, bummer. What a bummer. He's begging. Scott Del Fuego. Anytime you threaten something you are not really going to do, all credibility is lost. And your enemies begin to scrape away at whatever feeble protection you believe they have. That's true. Mike Doughty is back. Back, I say. Mike Doughty is back. Barry and Trump can be pen pals. I heard they were going to levy a bunch more charges on Trump, and he's for selling a gun. I read that yesterday. I watched the video. When you're being prosecuted for a felony, you're not allowed to sell a gun or buy a gun. You're not allowed to transfer the rights to a gun. I read all about that. Scott. FAZIO is not crazy. Follows FAZIO. I want to be crazy when I grow up. Scott says FAZIO is not crazy. In quotes. FAZIO has an expansive worldview and a mind that is not bound by conventional beliefs. Maybe open your minds and learn. Rubber baby Whoa. Thank you, Scott. Rubber begging bummer bumpers. We got to get that. Well, Sim is in the house. Rubber begging bummer bumpers. 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 Hey, that was pretty cool. Thanks, Scott. More Biden to pay to play thief. More, flying. So as soon as I mention Trump, flying circus is right in there with the Trump defense, baby. Flying circus and I go back and forth with Trump being the best of the worst choices that we have. Simlicon, the Blawberry Liberation Army, is having membership drive. The BLA, the blah, 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 the Barry Liberation Army. Sim, I've read some of the comments that you post on the fake Frank channel to Don C. They are so true. Some of the stuff that you post is amazing. I go through the comments every once in a while, as does Frank. That is like part of our daily bread. The comments on the fake Frank Battaglia channel. That is one of the greatest things about YouTube, that his channel is there for our well-being, our mental acuity. So to see what's being said about Frank, 350,000 comments and counting. Thanks for stopping by, Sim. Scott Del Fuego says, DNC's Human Circus has a great channel. Sub and laugh if you don't fear the back end of YouTube. Well, DNC is the other side of YouTube, baby. Sim is one of the more intelligent folks in this genre. That's true. That is very true. Thank you, Scott. Let's go back to my notes. Sim is probably, well, there's got to be the top 20 people that are the smartest people I know, but in real life, my conversations with Sim, he's very even-keeled and very, I don't know how to say it. He's very, you're not going to persuade Sim to think like you want to think. He's going to give you a valid argument for his point of view. And it's okay that you don't believe his point of view, but you can't make Sim think like you think because you want him to think like you want to think. Sim has his own opinion. Not that his opinion and my opinion conflict, but he knows the truth. So we've had, in the past, we've had not an argument, but we've had disagreements. He believes what he believes, and I believe what I believe. But we both believe the same thing at the end of the day. And that is, of course, you know what that is. I don't have to say that. I don't have to repeat it. You know what that means. You know what that common goal, common belief is. Flying Circus is back in the house. So let's go back over here. And we're going to read the RA codes for Barry, because Barry's too... Barry, you're not very astute when it comes to law in the Philippines. The RA codes were not meant necessarily to prosecute civilians. The RA codes were created to protect politicians. My lawyer explained this to me a long time ago. And the reason they were made to protect the politicians is because a politician may have a soiled past, and if you bring that up during an election, it will hurt his election possibilities to be elected. So the politicians created a law that says you can't falsely claim something against a politician, which is the Slander and Libel Act of the RA 10175 Code. So the codes were written by politicians to protect politicians from slander from other politicians and to keep any wrongdoing private. Now, that doesn't mean you can't say it, but you have to be able to prove what you say is true. So, Barry stating that somebody said something about Barry, if you can prove it's true in a court of law, you can use it. But in order to do that, you need a lawyer. So in order to prove that what you say is true in a court of law and that you have the right to say it, you need a lawyer to prove that. You can't do it. You just don't listen, dude. I don't know why you don't listen. You're not listening. That's true. You're not listening, Barry. You need to get a lawyer, dude. You need to get the big E. You need the big E. You need the big E. So even if a statement is true, it doesn't matter. You have to prove that the statement is true. That could take several pages of documents and several newspaper clippings and articles and several videos. You can't prove that what you say is true because you're working with the cell phone in detention. You're not going to be able to prove it's true. You need a lawyer to prove it's true. So you can't repeat it in a public venue, which means if you do repeat it in a public venue, it might be slander and it might be libel. Don't matter if it's true or not. You can't repeat it in public. That's the code. Now, where is the code? Here it is, right here. Elements of cyber libel. See, now this is a problem, this link, because it's going to be too long. It's more than 200 characters for sure. Okay, elements of cyber libel. Well, we could try. I'll copy that. I could try to put it in. I have it in here. I have it here. Yeah, here it is. It's in the. It's in my community post. I'll put it in the comments later. Elements of cyber libel. Barry, listen. Man. Elements of cyber libel. The following are the elements of cyber libel based on Section 4C4 of the RA 10175 codes in relationship to Articles 353, blah, blah, blah. There must be an imputation of a crime or a vice or defect, real or imaginary. Barry, you may have proof he said that, but you have to prove he said what he said. And I say that what you say is not going to be able to prove what he said that you said that he said is true. There must be an imputation of a crime or a vice or defect, real or imaginary, or any act, omission, condition, status, or circumstance, and that already went over Barry's head. So we'll just go on to the next sentence. The imputation must be made publicly. Barry, you've done that, which requires at least one other person must have seen the libelous post. That's probably happened. In addition, the author and the person defamed or alluded to is in the post. The imputation must be malicious, which means that the author of the libelous post made the post knowing that it was false or with reckless disregard for the truth or falsity thereof. And then it goes on to cite a case. Okay, to read the rest of this it means nothing unless you understand what all the codes mean. The imputation was done through the use of a computer, video, or any other public means that may be devised in the future. That's it. You need to have a lawyer, Barry. And now the show to explain why a lawyer is needed. Hey! Merry Christmas, Popeye. And to all my subscribers and all the people that are looking forward to the Christmas special, the Barry Jordan Christmas special. Hey, Barry, you made our day so that we can put the Barry Jordan Christmas special up on our channel. Uh-oh. Look at me. I have my hands over here. It's changing back and forth. The screen is changing by itself. I have my hands up here, and the screen is changing from my hands to Santa Claus and from Santa Claus back to my hands. I don't know why it's doing that. I have no idea. I have no idea why it did that. It kept going back and forth like it was on automatic. Flying Circus is in the house. It's doing it again, too. I am looking at the computer, and it's going back and forth on... I have no idea. Flying Circus, Democratic, Flying Circus hates the Democrats. I'm confidentially delusional, says Sim. That went over my head, confidentially delusional. It would take me a while to figure that out. DNC, you're struck here till you mail me a pocket friend. Sim, Scott Del Fuego, thank you, Scott. It's futile. Why everyone a mod? Well, those are my friends. They've been mods for years. With DNC. Now, DNC has a great channel. Maybe somebody can get DNC's channel. I could do that. Let's go here. Now it won't switch back to the... My camera is no longer working to switch directions. I assure you I didn't do that. It did it by itself. It's an amazing thing. The Samsung camera did it again. It's a real piece of junk. Okay. DNC. Let's get DNC's channel up here. This is a great channel if you want to... You ever heard this expression, the other side of YouTube? This is the other side of YouTube. This sad puppy video right here, this is what you want to see One of the greatest, the all-time great videos in YouTube history, right alongside the Vile One video. Vile One was the name of Popeye's video from 4 years ago. Sad Puppy and Vile One are probably the two most famous videos in the YouTube Philippine genre. I would say this and the Popeye One, Vile One, is two of the greatest videos ever made for the YouTube genre. Thanks, Scott. Thank you, Scott. Flying Circus got it up there. Scott got it up there. I got it up there. Yeah, that video, Sad Puppy, that's the video you want to watch. You want funny, you want sarcasm, you want humor, you want to watch DNC's videos. That's what you want to watch. The Stained Pictures by DNC. When you watch the Sad Puppy video, you'll understand. Scratch and Sniff underwear. I heard about that. The Ghost of Barry's Past. That's right, Mike Dowdy. That gives me an idea. Barry, if you can hold out, if you can do it. Let's say, Barry, this is a question for Barry. If you can see your way clear to hold out till for this Christmas, Popeye's Christmas special will be special. It'll be a Christmas special. But Mike Dowdy gave me an idea. Barry, if you're still in jail in 2024, then Popeye can do a Barry Christmas special, The Ghost of Christmas Pasts, in jail. You'll be in jail, and Christmas will have come and gone for 2023, and then Popeye's 2024 Christmas special will play, and it could be called The Ghosts of Christmas Past, starring the Gray Bar Inn in Cebu. Mike Dowdy gave me that idea. I didn't think that up. Just like Frank is responsible for the Men in Black kidnapping Barry Jordan part of the title. That's Frank's idea. I seen it somewhere. I seen it because I growed up and I seen it somewhere. Yeah, we got to get some of those channel links up on that for Flying Circus and Dan. Freebird, hey, how you doing, buddy? Hello, everybody. Freebird is, in fact, he became a member again. I think. No? Yeah, no, that means that you've been a member for months. For a month. I haven't seen you in a long time, but Freebird is my only member. But thank you for that. Or was my only member. Tate Montgomery. Free Palestine, please. Well, we're not doing politics today. But I do have a great Net and Yahoo video list. Look, I was watching a Roger Waters show last night. Roger Waters and that big, beautiful girl. I forget her name. She's about 7'9" tall. I forget her name. She and Roger Waters did a 1-hour show last week for Free Palestine. You might want to look that up. That's a good one. No more politics. Thanks, DNC. Scott de Fuego. Buenos dias, Freebird. Did you grow up real good? I growed up real good, yeah. 7 or 8 months continues. That's right. So if you could just hold out for another 14 months, Barry, Popeye could not only do a Christmas special, but Popeye would be able to do a Christmas special of Ghosts of Christmas Past. Mike Dowdy. That's 2 thumbs up for that comment, I'll tell you that. And I still can't get the camera to go in the horizontal position, as you can see. This is the Samsung phone that went into the horizontal position once a few days ago for a private live stream that I did, but won't go into the horizontal position. And now neither will the iPhone. Something. Anyway, moving on. But anyway, that's all I got to say. I think I've been on here for close to 2.5 hours now. Haganti Tambok Tayanak. DNC needs to re-release. Oh, yeah, baby. That's true, Hagante. From the past, especially the Bamazon one, the Bamazon video. I missed that one. I don't remember that one at all. DNC, can you do that? Can you do that? Please? Why don't you could, well, it's hard to ask somebody to do something. Oh, you know what DNC, they got new rules. How you could do workarounds. Like, let's say a video is derogatory. Really derogatory. Like, really, really, really derogatory. If there's commentary, like videos about World War II and the speeches that Adolf gave, right? And where he does his hand signs and all of that. If you post the speech as is and don't leave a negative comment about how this is what he said and then give reasons why what he said is wrong, you'll get a strike. But if you narrate, stop the speech and narrate, this should be illegal, this is illegal, this is against the law, this is against humanity, blah, blah. If you negate what's being said in the video, and as a narrator, or using it for a documentary of what not to do, you can almost get away with anything. Even hate speech, if you are teaching what hate speech is and condemn hate speech, you can get away with just about anything. I know that because I read a whole bunch of stuff on it. I'll send you a mail how to read it, how to read the stuff that I'm talking about. So in other words, you can say that I don't know. You could say that Scott Del Fuego passed gas and it smelled really bad. You could say that, but if you narrate it, it's okay to say it anyway. I'm talking about really, really bad stuff like Scott Del Fuego ate beans and then passed gas. Not allowed to say that. Anyway, I'll send you a mail. Okay. Scott Del Fuego, Barry was a famous skater and a nut job jackass. I don't know who that is. Oh, wait a second. Barry Margara. Barry Margara. Let's get back over here. See, right now, Hagante Tambok Tayanak. I have the Amazon one. Post it and I'll copy it from you. Oh, you're talking to Hagante. Okay. But Scott Del Fuego did pass gas. Barn gas. Bam gas. Bama. Bam again. Imagine that poor girl that went to the north rim of the Barry Jordan and walked along the north rim of the Barry Jordan. Imagine saying, Barry, you've done some pretty disgusting things on YouTube, I gotta tell you. Not for nothing, but I will still, like the government, I'm still here to help you. Here is the bottom line, Barry. You need to hire a lawyer. If you don't think you need to hire a lawyer, then don't hire a lawyer. If you don't have the money to hire a lawyer, you need to get somebody that's going to financially back you, or you are not going to get out of detention. If Frank has a case against you, valid or not, and you don't have a lawyer, and he presents the case and the prosecutor takes the case, and the case might take 2 months or 3 months to get a court date, and come January, Frank says, I'm sick, I can't get to the case on January to the court, and he gives them a day's notice, a week's notice. Frank can postpone the case 2 or 3 times, and it might be 2 or 3 or 4 months between trial dates. Frank doesn't make the trial date. Again, this is another stupid thing. You believe Frank sets the dates. He doesn't. Somebody said the lawyers set the date. They don't. Here's how it works. The judge says at the end of my hearing, he looks in his book, the judge, and he says, is January 1st a good day? And the 2 lawyers look in their appointment books and they say, one says yes, one says no. The judge says, what about January 15th? And the 2 lawyers look in their appointment book and they say yes or no. And if they both agree January 15th is a good day, then the judge says, okay, it's set for January 15th. But if the judge only asks for an option for the date, the judge doesn't set the date. The lawyers agree on a date based on what the judge says is available for the court. So stop thinking that Frank does anything. Frank doesn't set the date. Frank's lawyer doesn't set the date. The judge will set the date what day you're supposed to appear. But Frank's lawyer can come along and say, I can't make it that day. And maybe he can't. Maybe a week from the court date, Frank's lawyer's daughter gets sick and he has to be next to her in the hospital when he's to help the girl. Who knows? Could get pneumonia. And the father wants to be with the girl with the pneumonia. Could be like that. So stop thinking that the court or Frank, they don't make any decisions. The court. And Barry, just like you're not going to be a lawyer, Frank's not going to set a date. And Frank will do this to you for sure. He will continue with the case. If he gets a court date, he might postpone it. That's possible. You need to get a lawyer, so if he does it 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times, and a year from now he's still doing it, if you have a lawyer, the lawyer could say, oh, this is going on too long, let's drop the case. But he could do it 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 times if you don't have a lawyer. You need to get a lawyer, Barry. You just keep thinking you don't need a lawyer. You need a lawyer. Mike Dowdy. So Barry, Mike Dowdy has some information for you. I just checked that Randy Wilson guy who overstayed 10 years is still at Bicoton 14 months. I heard about this man. So he overstayed for 10 years and he went to Bicoton and he's there 14 months. So Barry, you're only in there You're not even in there 6 months yet, and you're complaining. 6 months, and you're complaining? That guy's in 14 months in a much worse place than you. You should be grateful. Like Scott said, free room and board. Food is coming in every day for you. Every day, every day, every day. You should be grateful. So, Mike Dougherty, thank you for that information. It's up, Dancy. Maybe Michael can post a link. I can post a link. What am I posting a link to? Oh, Amazon. Okay. Bama on. Let's. Bama's on one. Let's take. I don't know. Oh, it's a short video. It's a short video. Bama's on one. Sky Dragon Productions. Uh-oh. Oh, right here, baby. Let's take a look. Look, he just said, I was growed up in Alabama. I seed the light. Amazon. Wait for it. Uh-oh. Amazon. Uh-oh, I'm going to have to turn this around. Oh, you can't see that. You can't see that. $3. $3, ladies and gentlemen. $3 at Amazon and YouTube. $3, baby. $3. For $3, you can get a set of teeths. $3. $3 only. What's going on here? Saran wrap? $3. Whoa. Oh, that's just, no, I can't put that up there. Crisco. All vegetable. Oh, cups. Coffee cups of Crisco. Uh-oh. It's an Alabama condominium complex. That's actually quite cool. Trailer camp, baby. It's trailer camp. Where are you going this summer? I'm going to trailer camp. I don't know about you. I growed up in Alabama. We used to go to trailer camp in trailer camp, baby. This is trailer camp. Bama's on what? Trailer camp. I don't know what the sound is like. Bama's on one, baby. Bama's on. Okay, so that's Bamazon. Welcome to Bamazon. Bamazon. Uh-oh. We don't want to have anything like that. Let's get that off of there. That's bad stuff. You know, in all my life, I never seen anybody do that. I think it's pretty nasty, actually, that whole concept of I growed up. I had needles as a kid. I don't like them, but I would never do a drug that required a needle, ever. I would never do that. It would never happen. I never saw. I'm thinking, if I ever saw anybody do that, I don't remember. But I remember everybody did it when I grew up. Not me, but the men that were 5 or 6 years older, the men and women that were 5 or 6 years older than me did that. But I don't remember ever seeing somebody do that. The 60s were really bad for that. That was a garbage drug that destroyed so many people. Anyway, moving back to the Bamazon Trailer Park. Bama Camp. Amazon, that's pretty funny. Amazon. DNC's Human Circus is having posted, uploaded Amazon. Damn Amazon. DNC's Human Circus posted Amazon. That's pretty funny. Bama, the Bama Park. Bama, Amazon, baby. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now for a minute. Boy, everybody's flying the links around. Okay, so I'm gonna take all of my show notes that were in my Yahoo Mail. I'm posting every bit of that. I'm in the comments of this video when this video changes from a live stream to a video. Now, better yet, yeah, I'll put it in the, I'll put it in, I'll copy the whole thing and put it in, it won't fit in the description box because it's more than 5,000 characters. But I'll put the entire commentary that I wrote, the notes, in the comments for you to review the RA codes. But I'm also going to put the link for the RA codes. There's more RA codes. If you want to look at the Philippines law, there's, look, and Barry, I'm going to make this clear to you. What the RA code 10175 does is protect. It was written for one purpose. It was written to protect politicians that have a soiled past from any future political rally from somebody saying that the politician that they're up against had a soiled past. And if you do say it, you can be liable to go to court, and then you have to prove it. And so if you don't prove it, then you have to pay $50,000 US or some ridiculous amount of money. And if you do prove it, you still have to go to court and hire a lawyer. So that's what it was written for, to stop people, politicians, from talking about other politicians. Then they moved it over to non-political entities can be prosecuted for those crimes, so that the people that were backing the politicians can't say that bad stuff about the other guy either. It's not a reasonable law, in my opinion, but it is the law. So you may have broken that code. That's my opinion. Scott says he hasn't seen more than 2,000 junkies in his life. That's because Scott grew up in, he was a policeman in Chicago. And he probably did. But I remember seeing works. They call it the works. But I don't think I ever saw anybody use their works. And I had found a set of works, a real doctor's set of works. And I had it in my house when I was about 12 or 13 years old. And my mother and father found it. Boy, did I get my butt chewed out for that. But it was the real one, like a Frankenstein one with the chrome, the big chrome loops on it. And you push the plunger, you hold your fingers in the loops and you pushed it through the plunger. And it was in a velvet case with the needles that screwed on. I found one of those it was inside a milk machine where you used to be able to buy quarts of milk. cartons of milk, and at the top there was a flap door like that. And Joey Johnson hid his works in the door. Joey Johnson was Eddie Johnson's brother and Dirt Johnson's big brother. Eddie Johnson was the oldest Johnson. He was a junkie. Joey Johnson was a junkie. But Dirt Johnson, and he hated being called Dirt. Goddamn, oh man, he was like, you called me Dirt? You'd have to fight him when you called him Dirt. But that was his name. That's what people called him. But Dirt did not do drugs. He was straight as an arrow. And he was my friend in school. We went to the same grades together. But Joey Johnson hid the works up in the top of the milk machine. And when he walked away, he was like that. He was all monkeyed up. And I stole his works. And I brought them home. My mother and father found them somewhere. Oh, I got my butt chewed out. What's the name of that bat type? The kitties hog-nosed bat flying circus. Because my stream won't go horizontal. Because no matter how many times I go to the store and get them to fix it, it goes back to because Samsung, I've been doing this for 6 months, and now my iPhone won't go horizontal either. Good question, though, I'll tell you that. So we have only 12 thumbs up after 2.5 hours. I think we should get a few more thumbs up, and then I'm going to go. $15 thumbs up, thank you. So that's it for me. I'll get those comments over there. I'll move them over. Thanks for Frank's horse. Frank's horse. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Oh, this is a really profitable business. Freebird, thanks for stopping by, and the thumbs up. Freebird has a channel. Freebird, you have a wrench. Put up your channel. If you're a cat lover, Freebird has now 9 indoor cats and 5 outdoor cats, 6 outdoor cats, 7 with the mother. That's 16 cats he has, 16 cats. If you're a cat lover, Freebird plays with his cats. He's got catnip. He's got cat toys. He's got a cat house. He's got a multi-layer cat house in his house. Good afternoon to you too, Michael. All right, then. Thanks, everybody. I'm Pink Permy, which, of course, means take care. Always 17 thumbs up. I'll live with that. Bye-bye for now from the Philippines, baby. That's right. Frank. Hey, hey, Philip. Who has a cat house? Freebird. Night, Foz, says DNC. Thank you very much, DNC. Good night. I'm Pink Permy. I'm going to go now. Bye-bye. Frank. I'm Ignat Pud. Thank you, Philip. God, I can't figure out, this thing won't shut off. I've posted it like 4 times to shut off. It won't shut off. Try it again. There we go. I'm Pink Permy from the Philippines, baby. That's right. From Reboy! Chewbacca in the Philippines, baby. Bye-bye for now.